Before I start the video, I wanted to give a quick warning. The Binding of Isaac is a pretty disturbing game. There's a lot of blood, though all 16-bit, but there is a lot of blood, so if you don't want to see that, then don't watch the video. Don't want to be a cause of anyone's nightmares other than my own. There's also a lot of depictions of religious things, usually in a satirical way, so if you don't want to have your religion made fun of or anything, don't watch the video. I can guarantee you're not going to like it if you're over-religious. So, with that out of the way, let's get on to the video. The Binding of Isaac is a game where you play as Isaac as he tries to escape his mother, who tries to sacrifice him to God. See, told you the game is disturbing. Disturbing? I cannot speak. In his descent below his house, he finds many monsters that get progressively stronger and stronger as he goes further and further down. To combat these monsters, he finds many items along the way that help him keep up with the evolution of the monsters. But I don't want to have my sanity today. I'm handicapping myself and saying that I cannot pick up any items because I want to go insane. So today I'm asking the question, can you beat the Binding of Isaac Repentance without picking up a single item? Now, this bans both passive and active items, that is, items that you can use anytime or that are always active. But this does not ban anything that is not an item. Hearts, bombs, keys, trinkets, cards, pills, all of those are 100% allowed, no strings attached. I'm not allowed to pick up any items. Now, to my knowledge, no one has attempted a full run like this before. There was one run that I saw that was uploaded to YouTube 9 years ago of the original Binding of Isaac that someone did, but they only uploaded the mom fight and not the entire run. Other people have done other spins of this run where they'll do some hard boss like Mega Satan, Delirium, Hush, or some other boss, but they usually give themselves some sort of buff like a lot of health or some way to regain health or some OP synergy that just only uses 1 or 2 items. Not doing that today. Completely itemless. This all started with my Legend of Bumbo video about a month ago, where I said I would do the Binding of Isaac no item run. And I've spent a lot of time regretting that choice. From the day I started streaming it, May 1st, to about a week later, May 9th, I tried this run on and off for a total of about 5 hours, and the problem is this run relies heavily on RNG. I had to hope I didn't get alternate versions of floors because those are harder with their enemy patterns and room layouts. I had to hope I could get an adequate amount of health to be able to tank whatever unfair room patterns I did get. I had to hope I could get a damage increasing card for the mom fight. But let me not get too far into it before I start. Let's just get into it and go through the run. Now, to start off in the basement, I always restarted until I started on the basement. This is because, like I said before, the cellar, which is the alternate version of the basement, is much harder than the basement with its room layouts and enemy spawns, which I did not want to go through. So, I always started on the basement, and I would go through. In the first curse room, I gained a soul heart. How soul hearts work is, instead of the normal 3 heart containers you have, soul hearts can go at the end of that, basically extending how much health you have. Once you lose a soul heart, you can't refill it unless you get another entirely new soul heart. But they are very useful in that they allow you to go past your starting capacity of 3 hearts. I ended up getting a devil card on the first floor, which is a card that upon use gives you a damage up, so I decided to hold on to that until the mom fight. My first boss was Gemini, and something I should mention real quick is that the basement is actually kind of an easy floor to do, just because, being the first floor, you're already meant to have very few items. So the enemies, the room layouts, the bosses, they're all kind of designed around Isaac's base stats. So the basement, I kind of breezed through. Perfect example of that, my first boss was Gemini, a boss that chases you around, slightly slower than Isaac's base speed of 1, and has a little baby that floats behind him, sometimes shooting at Isaac. You kill the big guy, you stun lock the small guy against the wall with your average fire rate, and you go. He did give a soul heart though, which, as I said before, are very useful, so I went to the next floor having some extra heart. The second floor, unfortunately, was the cellar, which means that there were harder enemies and harder room layouts, but with the run that I got on the first floor, I decided to roll with it and see what happened. I got extremely lucky later on by finding a room that had a soul heart and a trinket known as Pinky Eye trapped behind a rock. I didn't have any bombs at the time, but going into the shop, I was able to buy a bomb for half price. And Pinky Eye is an amazing trinket for this run. it causes Isaac to gain a chance of shooting a poison tier, which, when it hits an enemy, causes an enemy to be poisoned. That enemy, for the few seconds that it's poisoned, will take damage equal to Isaac's tier damage every now and then. The effect doesn't last that long, but that little bit of extra damage does come in handy. The second boss is Blighted Ovum, who is an upgraded version of Gemini. Blighted Ovum is significantly harder because his little baby, instead of shooting tears, shoots horizontal brimstone lasers which have infinite range and are shot out instantly. The big part of Blighted Ovum also has Creep behind him, which is just a fancy Binding of Isaac turn for he leaves a little trail that damages Isaac when he runs over it. But I was able to beat him by only taking about a heart of damage. The third floor was the caves, and this is where things started getting a bit harder. Some harder enemies that had more health, enemies that swarmed me a bit more. Overall, caves wasn't too bad. The boss, however, was the Fallen. Unfortunately, I did have to use the Devil card here because I am not very good at dodging the Fallen. The problem is, while he starts as one boss, once he gets to a little less than half health, he splits into two smaller versions of the Fallen that attack completely independently from each other, which is no good. I basically had to split my attention between two small demons, which is not at all easy to do. Anyway, after beating him, I went around the floor a little bit longer and managed to find myself an Ancient Recall card, which is a card based on the Magic the Gathering card known as Ancestral Recall, which gives you 3 cards. I was lucky enough to get a 2 of Hearts card, which doubles my amount of health, which is very useful. I also got really lucky with pills, getting a luck up pill, as well as some neutral pills that didn't really do much for me, but hey, it's better than bad pills. The fourth floor was the Catacombs, which was unfortunate. I did get somewhat unlucky enemy spawns, so I unfortunately took some damage there, but still not too bad. The boss of this floor was the Hollow, which was very lucky. The Hollow moves in very predictable diagonal patterns and floats around. He has 4 segments, but Pinky Eye was actually able to damage all 4 segments if it hit one of them. After that boss, I was able to get 2 soul hearts in the Devil Deal, which is a mechanic I'm not going into right now. Watch another YouTuber if you want to get an explanation of how all this works. I only have so much time in this 10-minute video. Unfortunately, in the shop, I had to fight Greed, who is a mini-boss. I was actually able to do it with minimal damage taken, so that was good. The next notable thing about this floor is I got an Eternal Heart, which is ludicrously lucky to get as a normal energy drop. An Eternal Heart, for those of you who don't know, gives you a health up if you're able to retain it when you reach the next floor, which is really good when you can't actually get any health ups by other means. Except a health up pill, which I managed to get in the next room from an enemy. So this run was already looking up a lot compared to previous runs, which had a good start, but ended up starting to fall out at about the 3rd or 4th floor. I went from having 3 heart containers on the 4th floor to going to the 5th floor and having 5, almost doubling it. And with the 5th floor, it was the depths, so it wasn't the harder version, although I'm not actually certain I even had Necropolis unlocked. Unfortunately, the game decided to rain on my parade and give me a health down pill later that floor, so kinda undid that health up pill, but hey, 4 hearts is still better than 3. I did get, once again, some unlucky enemy spawns, meaning there was some more damage that I ended up taking on this floor, but still not too bad. The 5th boss was Monstro 2. It was very tedious, but also pretty easy. I used his laser to kill the little flies that he spawns, which is kind of brutal. I mean, you spawn the flies just to kill them yourself. Come on, Monstro 2, you're better than this. Anyway, after killing Monstro 2, I managed to earn myself another Eternal Heart as a drop from him, meaning that health down pill can suck my The 6th floor was about the same as the 5th floor. Once I found the boss room that leads to Mom, I decided to scavenge the floor for basically anything that I could find. I found slot machines in an arcade, which, as the name imply, allowed you to use money to have a chance of getting consumables and other things. I was able to get a lot of hearts from them, some other consumables, such as bombs and coins that I don't really care about, as well as a Pretty Fly, which is an orbital that blocks projectiles that hit them. I'm not certain how much that Pretty Fly actually helped in the battle, but hey, I'll take literally anything that doesn't make me take damage. I also managed to find a Balls of Steel pill, which gave me 2 soul hearts. And finally, as the luckiest part of the 5 hours that I spent trying to do this challenge, I managed to get a strength card by bombing a random pair of skulls a few rooms before the Mom fight. This was a last-ditch effort to get something that would allow me to beat Mom, and this did. The strength card, for those of you who don't know, gives me an extra health container and a damage up for the room that I use it in. So, if I go into the Mom fight and I use the strength card, look on the left side and you'll notice a few things happen. So first of all, like I said, my health went up. Second of all, as you can see, my damage went from 3.5 to 5.19. Now, for those of you who haven't played the game before, or honestly, for a lot of you who have played the game before, you probably don't quite know what that means, but let me tell you, that damage up goes far. Enemies that previously took 2 hits to kill, now take 1. Enemies that previously took 3 hits to kill, now take 2. Enemies that previously took 5 or 6 hits to kill, now take 3 or 4. And enemies who previously took 9 to 10 hits to kill, now only take 6. This is a huge improvement since Mom's whole gimmick is that she spawns enemies from throughout the game, which can be very deadly if you have low damage and aren't able to deal with them quickly. But this strength card gave me the damage up that I needed to do it. It was a very long, nearly 2-minute fight, but I was able to finally defeat Mom. This was a challenge that caused me to rage many, many times. This was past the difficulty of the Calculated Soul boss in the minimum kill challenge of Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. Unfortunately, as much as I wanted to try to go to Mom's heart to make this seem like a really full run, I died on the way. But since this run had already been delayed a week past what I thought it would take, and the fact that this video needs to be out by May 28th and today's currently May 14th, I kinda need to get this done as soon as possible, so maybe in the future, I'll come back and do a full no item run, going all the way to Mom's heart. But until next time, my name is Calendar Man, I still don't know what days are which, I have a terrible sleep schedule, and I will see you next time.